Hey folks, as we had mentioned with school getting started back, all of the excitement that comes with that and making new friends and getting reacquainted with your old friends and learning things new, it does create some challenges for some families during this school year. And our Paulding County Animal Shelter, they have partnered up with A Buddy's Hope. And what this is for the month of August and September, they are waiving the adoption fees if you will bring in some food items that will be donated. And this is stuff like mac and cheese and pudding cups, cereal bars, stuff like this. And where this is going to go is going to help the backpack program for Herschel Jones Middle School and Paulding County High School. This is going to guarantee that these students that on the weekends and the holidays, they're still going to be able to have a nutritious meal, and they're not going to miss a breakfast or a lunch or whatever the case may be. So for the month of August and September at the Paulding Animal Shelter,
welcome to the August Planning Commission for Paulding County. If you would at this time, if you have an audible device, anything that makes noise, turn it off, turn it to silence so it doesn't interrupt the proceedings. We're going to review the minutes from the previous session of this body. At this time, I'd ask the Planning Commission if you've had a chance to review the minutes, if there's any corrections or edits or comments. And hearing none, I'll entertain a motion with regard to the previous minutes.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Ms. Fitzgerald. All in favor? Motion approved. 6-0 and 1. Oh, the motion was made by Mr. Callahan. I don't think I mentioned that. Sorry. So before we get started, just going to cover a couple of things. Anybody wishing to participate in a public meeting, we're going to go over those rules, but there is a pamphlet on the back or a piece of paper on the back table. You can take it if you'd like, which kind of gives the instructions for participation in a public meeting. Planning Commission is a recommending body. We serve both the Paulding County Board of Commissioners and, when applicable, the City of Hiram. Board of Commissioners' next meeting for any applications heard today will occur on September 9th at 2 p.m. Any application heard before the Board of Commissioners, recommendation from Planning Commission will be sent to them. Anybody with an interest in that, the applicant included, must be present for it to be considered. When we begin the discussion of the applications, the introduction will be made by Mr. Robinson with the county. The applicant comes forward. They'll be able to speak on their application. They have 15 minutes to present. They may utilize all of that time or may conserve some time for rebuttal if necessary. Questions and comments from the Planning Commission do not count against their time. And that is a cumulative 15 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns with regard to an application, a total cumulative time of 15 minutes is allotted for that. If at the time that that part of the session opens up, if you wish to make comment, please come to the lectern. You will sign in, you will state your name, and you will just address the comments to the chair. Again, if you have people who are lined up behind you, would you please be mindful of that and courteous toward them to give them an opportunity to speak? Or if you know that all your comments are going to align, you can appoint someone to be the speaker for your side's representation. At this time, I will ask Mr. Robinson if there's anything I've failed to mention.
Mr. Chairman, we had a request from one of the applicants, 2503 site plan stipulation amendment application. Due to some conflicts, they were asking if they could move further up on the agenda than the
I
bottom.
don't have any objection to that. Anybody else? Good. Then let's go ahead and proceed
Okay.
with that one.
Okay, so the first application will be 2025-03 SPSA, application by Weekly Homes LLC, J. Kevin Moore, requesting a site plan stipulation amendment of a prior application 2005-63Z. This is on a 50.36 acre parcel that was zoned PRD back in 2006, and they're asking to amend stipulation, I believe it's number 6, which stated that the front setback for the homes would be 25 feet, and they're asking to reduce it to 15 feet for all the lots in the proposed development. This property is located in land lots 399, 400, 464, 465, and 466. It's in District 2, Section 3. It's on the south side of Old Mill Road, south of Macklin Road, and west of Indian Lake Court. It's in Commission Post 3. Staff has recommended approval. This particular application, this particular development, the Board of Commissioners in just a couple months ago or less worked with the applicant to move the public streets back to private streets. And the applicant is present.
If the applicant please come around, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Kevin Moore here on behalf of the applicant, Weekly Homes, in this, what I hope to be a very straightforward application. And I also want to express my gratitude and appreciation for you allowing me the courtesy of moving up in the agenda due to a conflict I have shortly. So thank you for that allowance as well. This application is, as Mr. Robinson explained, a single request to amend a zoning stipulation on this 50-acre tract. This property was actually zoned in 2006 to the former PRD category, and one of those stipulations is that the front setback for the homes be 25 feet, and we're requesting that to be reduced and that stipulation changed to a front setback of 15 feet. And let me give you a little context for that, which I know you need to have in order to consider this request. Weekly Homes has acquired this property. It's now been fully developed with homes ready to be built and constructed. Weekly Homes, however, in their review of this property and its location, and given their history as well and success, is going to be building homes, and this community will be an age-restricted community. So much like your R55 category, though this is not, it's zone PRD and not R55, it's their choice that they want to have this be one of their age-restricted communities. As much as we've already taken this first couple of steps. Number one, we were able to convert, and the board graciously approved converting the streets from public streets to private streets, so that this would be better set up for a age-restricted community. Weekly Homes has already recorded its declaration of covenants. Those covenants do reflect it being a age-restricted community and having the appropriate provisions and covenants that would enforce that for the entirety of the community. Now, how does that relate to this request? This is under your former PRD category with the setbacks and lot sizes reflected here. Reducing the front setback from 25 feet to 15 feet allows them to build a better and more fittable home for their age-restricted intended target, which includes obviously the master bedroom and living areas are on the main floor, and that's accomplished by having deeper homes than you might otherwise do if you're having your typical two-story types of homes for a single-family type of neighborhood. By allowing those homes to be pushed up by 10 feet, then it allows them to have an appropriate area for a backyard. In addition, eliminates some of that front yard, which is all maintained by the homeowners association. In addition, moving the front setback up only moves homes that are on the perimeter further away by 10 feet to any adjoining neighbors. And lastly, they are not seeking to change or revise any other stipulations that are already intact and in place. And just by reference, this PRD was originally approved for 151 homes, but as developed, it actually was developed for 130 homes. So we bring this request for your consideration. Certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have, and respectfully request your recommendation of approval consistent with staff's analysis and recommendation, which is also for approval. Thank you.
So I'll open it up for questions. Planning Commission, anybody has questions?
Hey, Mr. Moore, question for you.
Certainly.
Private or public, is Weekly, are they putting sidewalks in?
There are sidewalks, yes.
Okay. And will the parking be affected on the sidewalks? That's usually the concern with the front setback and the PRDs. I understand the bigger lots, the ranch style, bigger for the R55 or the senior style housing getting the master on the main. But that would be the one concern that I think I and probably others have, is issues where we already block sidewalks with vehicles parked in the driveway.
Sure. So for this project, the driveway lengths will still remain a minimum of 21 feet from sidewalk. For portions that may not have a sidewalk, the driveway length is 28 feet. So they accomplish that by the garage is offset from the front. So your actual driveway lengths are more than sufficient to meet the parking requirements and length requirements.
And you did say that, so the product change is reflective where they're deeper. I mean, they're a deeper house.
It's a deeper house than a typical, what you would see a two-story single-family development house, because it's 2 stories. These most of your age-restricted homes, because they're putting all the living area and the main master bedrooms and so forth on one floor, on the single floor, they end up being deeper as a result of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're saying this is going to be single-level homes, or they're going to still be 2-story?
They'll be, the best way I know how to describe it is they're really a story and a half. Upstairs is available as an option and can be finished, but the upstairs is only a portion. It's not a full story upstairs.
Any other questions from the planning commission?
If they were not granted the change or the amendment to the STIP, what would they build? I mean,
They're still going forward with the age-restricted community in this instance.
so it still fits, the product still fits.
This product fits. What happens is you end up with a situation that the rear, because they are deeper,
Right.
you just don't have as a good a backyard for the future residents as a result of that 10 feet,
Okay.
which just, from their experience, that's helpful for the intended market, helpful for the future home buyer and so forth, so that they just have a more enjoyable place to live.
Any other questions? Hearing none, you can take your seat. And
Thank you.
we'll Proceed
Thank
with
you for
it.
your consideration.
Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on behalf of this application, 2025-03-SPSA? Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns regarding this request? Hearing none, I would then entertain a motion from Planning Commission with regard to this application.
I would like to say that I have a problem with starting to go changing. We've got so many PRDs that have been approved over the years. This was approved in 2005. If we're going to have to start going back and individually changing them for different groups, I make a motion to deny it on that point that that it should stay to the original zoning.
I have a motion to deny from Mr. Leggett. Is there anyone wishing to second that motion?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Fitzgerald. All in favor of denial? Any opposed? Motion passes to deny the request, 5-1-1. So again, this will be forwarded back to the county. Applicant may want to get with Mr. Robinson after the meeting. Mr. Robinson?
Okay, next application is 2025-13Z, application by All Construction Company, Inc., requesting to rezone 1.92 acres from R2 Suburban Residential District to B1 General Business District. And this would be for a proposed development of a 5,000 square foot office building. Property is located in land lot 315, District 2, Section 3. It's on the north side of Macklin Road, just east of Bobo Road. It's in Commission Post 1. Staff has recommended approval with 4 stipulations.
Is the applicant present?
Good afternoon, Planning Commission, Board of Commissioners, staff, and public. My name is Jonathan Jones. I'm with Elite Engineering. I'm here representing All Construction Company for the proposed 5,000 square foot office space that they intend to build on Macklin Road. The property is roughly 2 acres, a little bit less than 2 acres. This family's owned this property for quite a few years, and they have decided to build an office space at this location. My client has reviewed the zoning stipulation and is in agreement with those. It meets the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. Staff has recommended approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have or use the rest of my time for rebuttal if necessary.
Are there any questions to the applicant? Planning Commission?
Any, just showing office building, any certain use, or is it?
Yeah, the intended use right now is going to be an office for a local construction company. This construction company's been in business, well, since the 60s, so it's kind of going to be their new office per se.
Will there be anything stored?
Turn your mic.
There's no intent for any kind of storage or nothing, Mr. Leggett. It's really going to be utilized as more for the real estate group. They build light commercial, they build residential homes, so it wouldn't be any materials stored on site or anything of that nature. It'd be mainly employees and maybe some subcontractors come by and get paychecks and stuff like that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions to the applicant? Mr. Aston?
What about the potential conflict with the turn lane and adjacent convenience store? How y'all gonna deal with that?
Yeah, so the deceleration lane starts well past this actual site. I do know that there are some improvements because one of the zoning stipulations in here, let me read it. It defined that our client needs to adhere and work with the staff for their project that's coming through, and it references a project name, which is PR 399, which is an improvement to Macklin, Bobo, and Mount Tabor. My client is amenable to working with the Paulding County DOT in whatever aspects that's necessary. One of the other, I think, criteria was that access location would be defined during plan review. So I think that Mr. Jones and his staff have already evaluated this site and know that we were going to have to work together to accomplish this site in conjunction with the improvements that they've got planned in the future, and my client is amenable to working with that. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Is that going to be a right-in, right-out driveway, or?
No, sir, we would want a full access. I don't know of any reason why they would deny a full access. It's got good sight distance. We've got the proper deceleration lane shown. If they wanted us to shift the drive to the other side of the property, we potentially could do that as well. But we'll work with Paulding County DOT to accomplish access. But no, it would be the intent to be a full access. I think it'd be safer if it was a full access as well.
It's going to be hard to get out of there and turn left toward Hardy.
Yeah, that's a busy connector road through there for sure. Luckily, this is a fairly small business, so I can't imagine a lot of vehicular trips daily.
Any other questions to the applicant? Hearing none, you can take your seat. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please come around to the lectern, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to me. There should be a sign-in clipboard just around the other side of the podium.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
If you would, please tell us your name.
Oh, Kelsey Shepherd.
You can move that down where it's comfortable. Kelsey?
Kelsey Shepherd, yes. My concern is the turnout as well, because we live right off of Macklin, and it's already a nightmare. So more traffic for that. And then my other question would be, isn't there a natural stream in that spring in that property? And what are we gonna do with that?
Thank you very much. We'll ask the developer to come back or the applicant to come back and speak to that once I've collected all the questions.
Okay. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Jones? Again, two questions. One, obviously, with the traffic and safety conditions of the roadway, you've already stated that you would comply with Paulding County as far as any improvements that may be needed. I don't know if you wish to address any further.
Yes, sir, I'd like to answer. If you look on the site plan, there is a state waters that's shown along the back property. That's what limited this site to a 5,000 square foot building. They actually wanted a larger building. We're adhering to all the state buffers, the city buffer, or the state buffer, the county buffer, and the impervious setback. We're also providing a master detention pond in the eastern side of the property that will hold the runoff of the increased impervious on site and release it directly into that stream, so it shouldn't be an adverse condition to anybody downstream. But yeah, we have adhered to knowing that there is a state waters on the back of that property. It's basically the back property line, and it does remove a lot of usable space on this property, but we have, our site plan has acknowledged that, and we do intend to keep that stream as it currently is in its existing format.
Have you already done any preliminary studies to determine trip generations that might be?
Well, we have to do the traffic memo when we submit, so we did an analysis that basically said that 70% of the traffic will go to Dallas Highway. I think that's the minimum that'll go to Dallas Highway. It could be more than that. I will tell you that the particular people who own and work out of this building will actually come from the other direction because they live on that side. So, you know, once again, this is a contractor's office. It's a small home building group. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of vehicular trips in and out every day. They have maybe 4 employees total. So it's not like it's a very large 200 home type business. So it should be a minimal impact as it relates. Probably the least evasive that could be put at this location if you were to zone it for something else, it could very well be.
Well, and to the degree that this might put the young lady at ease with regard to her questions, is that this whole development, this hearing is just to determine whether the proposed use is acceptable in this location. Again,
yes, sir,
based on
that's
the
correct. And then as we go through plan review, staff will evaluate everything from trip generation to directional to safety, sight distance, and they'll ultimately make us adhere to the AASHTO standards that they are guided by and the GDOT standards they're guided by.
Yeah, as well as the environmental concerns.
Yeah, the environmental concerns, Mr. Coyle will make sure that we meet and exceed all environmentals.
So there's a lot of scrutiny that would take place if this got a favorable vote from the Planning Commission that takes place at the county with their professional staff to review the plans. That in mind, is there any other questions to the applicant that might have come up? Thank you. So at this time, I will entertain a motion with regard to application 2025-13-Z. Again, there are 4 listed stipulations. Keep that in mind with your motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4 listed stipulations.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Aston.
Second.
A second from Mr. Steele. This is with 4 listed stipulations. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0 and 1. Again, this will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners meeting for their consideration on September 9th at 2 p.m. Applicant must be present. Mr. Robinson?
Okay, next application, 2025-14Z, is an application by Powder Creek Properties, Brent Paris, requesting to rezone 47.56 acres from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Rural Residential District for proposed development of 21 single-family residences. This would utilize on-site septic system. Applicant also wishes to request variance for lot 9, 10, 11, 16 from 100-foot width at the road frontage to reduce that down into cul-de-sacs. And just see here, the property is located in land lot 1146, District 2, Section 3, south side of Pine Shadows Drive, east of Lindsay Lake Road and west of Nebo Road. It's in Commission Post 2. Staff has recommended approval with the 2 stipulation, as well as also we're not opposed to the variance request for those lots. The R1 district requires 100 feet of public road frontage. The applicant is asking to reduce that on those lots to where it's actually the 100-foot width that would be at the building line.
And you said the staff has no objection to
No, we
that
don't.
request?
We have on this one, we've had some calls with questions, a letter in opposition, and it's included in the backup packet. And the applicant is present.
The applicant will please come around, sign in, state your name, address your comments to the chair.
Thanks, sir. Good afternoon. So this is a rezoning application for nearly 48 acres. It's a newer zoning category, the R1, which is 1 acre minimum lots. A couple things that I think are worth noting. I read the letter of opposition. I totally understand it. I get the concept. I get their concerns. This subdivision, could be an R2 subdivision with half-acre lots and such as that. This developer doesn't build on half-acre lots. He likes larger lots, 1 acre lots. The homes will start in the high 4s and go into the 6s. So this is not a starter home community. There's no intent for this to be a rental community. My client would be happy to stipulate the rental restrictions. I passed around a packet of the homes that are most likely very similar to what will be built in here. You can see that they're farmhouse-style homes. There's many of them in this county that have been built by Powder Creek that have sold, and those people are very happy with the quality of their home. It's more like a custom-built home. They'll all be side entry homes, which means you won't be seeing everybody's garage stuff when they raise their doors, so that's a benefit. It is in conformance with the comp plan and future land use map. Right across the street, I know there's an older subdivision that was built in the 80s. It's R2 type homes. This property is a beautiful tract of land overlooking a small pond on site, and at the end of the day, this builder wants to do what his father and his grandfather have done for generations here in this county, and that's build some quality custom local homes. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got about this rezoning application. The variance, just so you know, in the zoning stipulations under this, around a cul-de-sac, if you had to have 100-foot frontage around a cul-de-sac, you would only get 2 lots on cul-de-sacs. So our request for the variance is just to make it to where, they pie out and they get wider. At the building line, the setback would be 100 feet, which would be the same for every other home in this neighborhood. So that's the purpose of the variance, is you can't really do 100-foot frontages around cul-de-sacs because the cul-de-sac itself doesn't provide that much frontage to accomplish. So like I said, I'll be happy to answer any questions or use the remainder of my time for rebuttal.
Well, there are 2 listed stipulations. I'm assuming that you're
I
agreeable to
apologize.
those.
The stipulations that my client has reviewed and is amenable and acceptable to those as well.
Had you been provided any of the concerns shared by those that have concerns about the
Yes, sir.
development? Have you seen the document that was
Yes,
submitted?
sir.
Okay. Just, we might go through some of that in a little bit, but I'll open up for questions from the Planning Commission.
So, quick question, Mr. Jones. On R1 and R2, I mean, I understand exactly what you mean with the cul-de-sacs, to where in R2 it's 30,
Yep.
and then, but you still have to open up. So your client still has got to meet the side setbacks. So,
The side setbacks will remain the same. The frontage at the building, at the actual home will be the same. It's just when you pie off of a cul-de-sac, if it's 100 foot, that lot would essentially be a 3-acre lot. I mean, it would just, so it's just a reduction at the right-of-way line. When it gets back to where the actual home built, that lot will be just as wide or wider than any other lot in the neighborhood, so.
and two of them, 11 and 10, well, even 9 for that matter, they back up to that swamp that's back there.
That is correct.
You and I both know that swamp.
Unbuildable, yes, sir.
Right,
That's
so
correct.
bringing it forward helps too. I mean, but.
That
so-
is correct.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, and that land obviously will remain undeveloped forever. It is a marsh, wetland, it'll just be what it is.
Was there mapped 100-year on this one?
Do it now?
Mapped 100-year on,
Yes, there is 100-year, and none of these lots will be within the 100-year.
okay. And then either of the lakes, I mean, as far as the lots downstream of Lake Jane or any kind of breach, I mean, you'll look at that during plan review.
If staff so sees it fit for us to do a breach analysis, we definitely can. I don't think anything from this development would create that hardship, but if staff would request it, we'll do it.
Right, but it would be the location of the homes. I mean, so if you
Yeah,
pull those
for the
homes.
downstream, yeah.
If you pull those homes forward on 9, 10, and 11.
That only helps
That
the
helps that,
situation.
right, with a
That's
breach.
right. The further you push them back, the lower in elevation they get, and potentially making it to where they could be susceptible to flood. But, yeah, so being able to shift them up to the front enables the homes, one, to look like the rest of them, where they're not way back off the property, but two, less likely for them to impede into the flood areas.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
The lake, does the applicant intend to keep the lake intact?
The lake will remain, we'll have a separate detention pond. We do not intend to use the lake for any kind of detention purposes. All runoff will be directed to a detention facility to ultimately detain and release the stormwater into that large swamp area. So it should be virtually no impact, because it's gonna go through a large swamp on the property before it ever exits the property, and it's gonna have a detention pond on site.
Has an assessment been made of the dam or the piping or anything like that?
No, sir, there hasn't been, primarily because we don't intend to use it for anything other than aesthetic purposes. If Bruce Cole or staff wishes for us to do an evaluation, we definitely can.
So long-term, who will end up owning the dam and the undeveloped property? Who's going to own that?
The HOA will own it. And they'll be charged with the maintenance of anything, including the entrance monument, the detention pond, because Paulding County no longer accepts detention ponds for ownership, and any of the existing property that's not owned by individuals will be all under the direction and care of the HOA association.
Have y'all conducted soil assessment studies, and if so, what level?
We did a level 3 soil. All the soil out there is actually great. All 21 houses will be conventional septic with conventional backups. We don't even have a backup that'll be a alternate system. If he got more aggressive, he would probably not be able to yield all conventional, but he went with 21 lots on this large tract of land, and so therefore every one of them are conventional septic.
Is this in a sewer basin where you still have to pay that fee?
Yes, sir. It's in the mandatory Sweetwater sewer basin, and yes, sir, there'll be a mandatory fee for the sewer to be for future
Yeah.
expansion.
Have y'all conducted any kind of traffic study?
No, sir, we haven't did a traffic study. We have done a site distance analysis and shot the site distance, but for 21 lots, we typically would wait on staff to see if they require it. They did require us to submit a traffic memo that kind of dictated the number of traffic trips that come out, but that's not really a traffic study. That's more like a little minor evaluation.
Yeah, Pine Shadows Drive is right treacherous, can be a right treacherous road due to the configuration and the rolling terrain, and of course, people speed on it, but, you know, in the last couple of weeks, I've almost been hit twice there myself. It's a challenging road, especially from this site all the way back to Highway 61. It's not so bad back to Nebo, but
Yeah, going to
that's,
61.
there is a risk of traveling on that road. And I think something needs to be looked at on that. Even Mr. Leggett, back when he worked for the fire department, he worked several serious accidents down that road 30 or 40 years ago. It's been a treacherous road for a long time, but that's all I have.
I would ask Director Jones if you would like to weigh in on the question about traffic study and road conditions for this type of development.
I think for the traffic study, based on zoning, what our current requirements are for residential developments, the threshold is 50 or more. If it's less than 50, we don't require any traffic study or traffic memo. Regarding Pine Shadows, yes, it's a straight road, particularly as you head west from this area. It's got some hills, but it is straight. It does have high speeds at times, as you know. County has a project right now working on the dam itself. We'll also investigate some other features to possibly try to look at speeds, look at the type of crashes that happen, and go from there.
That hill right there where you're talking about your entrance being, that's been a thrill hill for a long time. We actually had a young lady try to jump the hill and landed in Lake Jane several years ago. So, but yeah, that is a very serious traffic problem between that hill and the next one that right there near the house there at Lake Jane. Both of those are very, we've had several serious near fatality accidents at that intersection. So that's something that's, we're going to have to do some widening, and are you going to have an accel and decel lane?
Yes, sir. We'll have a deceleration lane. Paulding County doesn't really do accelerations anymore. They taper them out. I think that's more of an AASHTO standard, but yeah, there'll be a deceleration lane that'll be required, and it'll meet the speed limit requirements set forth on Pine Shadows, and it'll definitely be installed for these citizens coming in and out of this community.
I really think there should be a turning lane there due to the sight distances of the people that are meeting on that hill. There are some blind spots there, so I would think there should be a left turn lane in heading west. Plus, you've got the new development that's right across the road from there. You've got to deal with that traffic also, because those people are going to be coming in and out of there. So that's going to be, could be a serious traffic situation.
I think that's what, 9 units? Four?
Four on Pine Shadows.
4 on Pine Shadows, okay.
And it doesn't look like you have a lot of road frontage. So when I drove over there and looked at it, where the driveway is and the big oak tree, I mean, that is the high point of the road.
Yes.
So that is where you've got this drawn.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the safest spot that you could possibly put
It's
it.
basically the only spot we can come out of.
I mean, it would be worse to be either side of that high point.
Yeah, it would
I mean,
be
it's
definitely-
It's not an ideal situation, but
Right.
it is.
Yeah, it's the only access to the property, or they
Right.
would entertain something else, but yeah, that is the only access.
What is the right-of-way width on Pine Shadows Drive? Do you have that handy?
It shows 80 feet.
Okay,
I honestly don't know off the top of my head. Let me see what the survey shows.
80.
Shows
Okay.
80.
Says 80. Must be surprised.
That seems wide.
It's 80.
It is?
Says 80 foot. Says 80 foot on the survey that was prepared by Tibbetts. So apparently it's 80 feet, which is surprising because most of the right-of-ways in this county are not 80 feet, so.
Well, most of it across the lake is, a majority of it's going to be in the lake, if that's the case.
Yeah, probably so, because I know it's not that wide there.
No. No.
Well, I know you're going to, if this were to move forward again with a favorable consideration by the commission, Paulding Board of Commissioners, if they vote in favor of it, you'd still have to meet the development standards for, set by the county, both
That's
for
exactly right.
transportation as well as stormwater runoff and preservation of the ecology in the area, that, making sure everything is done according to the EPD standards.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Trying to see as far as doing a traffic study, I would leave that to Director Jones to determine if that is necessary. Is that something that you could determine on a needed basis during the plan review process? Or is that something that you would need stated here as a just in case? I know you said under 50, you don't typically
We don't
require it.
typically, again, you're looking, this Pine Shadows has 2,400 vehicles a day was counted last year, so there's not a problem in terms of roadway capacity. So, and that's what you typically look at when it comes to traffic, when you're adding developments. Are you exceeding the capacity of the road? Discussing things like access, whether you can see right or left, those will be determined during the plan review process. We're going to ensure that, the sight distance is satisfied for the posted speed limit.
All right.
So if they meet all that, I mean, that, again, you and staff or your staff reviews that for sight distance, for safety.
Absolutely.
I mean, anything that would need to be done potentially from widening or whatever might be needed to make it safe, you guys will look for that.
Correct. We follow the development regulations, absolutely.
Okay.
So, Mr. Jones, are you saying that there will not be congestion on Nebo Road from the traffic?
I haven't looked at Nebo Road per se, I just looked at this entrance on Pine Shadows, but typically a single-family home, per the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is the ITE, they estimate for one home generates daily trips of 9.4, so 21 times 9.4, that's your estimate of traffic that's going to be generated by this development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions to the applicant?
Did, Mr. Jones, you had mentioned something earlier, so you got 21 lots shown at R1. Did you, and you said your soils were decent. Did you look at an R2? I know there's a current moratorium on R2, but did you look at R2 for more lots?
Yes, sir. I laid it out with 44 lots. 40 of them were all conventional, 4 of them would be alternate systems.
Okay. I mean, that reason I asked that is back to the transportation, that.
Yeah, that would change from about 115 vehicular trips per day being generated by this development to more like 378 vehicular trips per day. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Jones. Would the builder, the developer, would he consider doing fencing along lot 1 through 6 to prevent like younger children? It wouldn't be that far to that lake, and for the safety of that lake and the property owners to fence down that area?
Yes, sir. If the adjacent property owners wanted that, my client would be amenable to installing a fence for the purposes of safety and aesthetics.
Say 6-foot chain link?
What's currently there?
There is an old barbed wire fence is all that I know that's out there.
Because this was pasture at one time with cattle on it, right?
Yep.
So there had to be something there.
Yeah, it's old run-down barbed wire fence that runs
Okay.
along there. I don't even think it's I don't think it's continuous anymore.
Any other questions?
I'd like to share some comments.
Please.
So, as we talk about developments, one of the big questions always comes up, and it was even added into the opposition letter that we had talking about schools and school impacts. I think it's very important to talk about what capacity is for a school system. So capacity, we have to look at it in kind of two different ways. One is capacity of physical building. Do we have enough seats for a child to sit in? The other one is an operational capacity. Operational capacity is going to be, what does it cost to operate? Because again, our schools are employed and they're staffed based upon the current enrollment, not based upon what the school can hold. So yes, as these developments come through, and they're smaller developments, they still have a certain impact that go along with that. So currently, our Nebo Elementary School is sitting at 94% capacity as it sits right now. We also have to look at not only the elementary school, we look at the middle school, and we look at the high school levels. So our South Paulding Middle School is where this would feed to, which currently sits at 85% capacity. And Paulding County High School is the high school that would serve this area. And we are currently at 118% capacity at the high school level. So as we look at these developments, the question inside of one of the opposition letters was a comprehensive school impact study that addresses the cumulative effects from this and other nearby developments. Well, that is something that the school system is tracking. And so I have from our operations development division, we have a demographics company that we work with to discuss capacity, to discuss the impacts and things of that nature. Currently, Nebo Elementary School, we are tracking 5 developments in that area that feed into Nebo Elementary School. Now, not to get into the boring part of how this demographic study is created, but we look at a lot of different things. Mobility, we look at aging out, so you have kids come in, you have kids go out, you have kids that move, you have rentals, you have all these different factors that go in and ultimately build what we call a student yield factor. That student yield factor is what we apply to these schools. And so for a small development, overall across K through 12, you would be looking at a 14 student increase across all 3 grade levels. So yes, that is small, but when you start to look at them in conjunction with all the others, pennies add up to dollars, is the way we look at it. So currently, Nebo Elementary School, the forecast for Nebo, including those 5 developments that we're tracking, it stays in that 95 percentile around that area throughout, because again, aging in and aging out, aging in and aging out. For South Paulding Middle School, we're tracking 11 developments that are feeding into South Paulding Middle School, and we are currently tracking 23 developments that are feeding into Paulding County High School. Paulding County High School is going to be the one that is going to be the most problematic, because it definitely increases over 120% capacity quickly outside of the 118. And the thing about it is these are projections, these are forecasts based upon information that we can gather, based upon existing information, history, and all of that. But you don't really know how many kids are coming to that school until they come, and then we have to accommodate them. So to answer the question for that in the letter, we are as a school district tracking developments that feed into each one of these schools, not just the individual the individual development that we're looking at here for this application. But currently, Nebo is right at, a little under capacity. South Paulding Middle School has roughly 15% before it hits 100%, and Paulding County is again at 118% currently.
Thank you.
Yep.
This time, is there anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this application?
Can I ask a question to Mr. Wicks?
Certainly.
So in your study, you're tracking existing or projects that are underway that we know of. How do you track ones that we don't know yet? Because every month we see things come in here. And until the market changes or until demand decreases for the metro Atlanta area, we're going to continue to see people come ask for stuff. We may want it, we may not want it. But how do y'all track for stuff that we show on land use maps? I mean, we've got plans of how we think we'll grow, but the market dictates how we're going to grow.
And again, a lot of it is forecasting, is projection, and it's best guess sometimes. But what we typically do is we actually have an individual that reaches out on a frequent basis to all major developers. So we have points of contact with your D.R. Hortons. We have points of contact with your Century Communities. Those big developers. Sometimes the smaller developers that are the local smaller developers, those are a little harder to track until they come through plan review. And so what happens is, as I get items that come through plan review, I track those independently. So as they come in as a first revision, first preliminary, all the way up, and once they hit a one-stop, that's when they start to hit our, basically, our list, and we start to pull them in. But we actually have a lot of those developments, even if they're on a first preliminary. I will go ahead and submit that information to our demographics company, or the individual that works with our demographics company, and they will put that on future projection. And so beyond the 10-year that we currently track, we have even further projection than that based upon as these developments potentially come in. And a lot of that also dictates how redistricting happens and things of that nature. So we do try to keep up with developers and keep a communication open with those developers to find out what they're planning, how they're planning on phasing it out. Because again, you can have these big developments that are 9 to 10 phases that could potentially be spread out over 15 years, depending on how things are going. They could turn around and hit issues while they're doing their development that prolongs them, and we adjust our projections based upon the information that we receive from them.
Anytime you need local help, I mean, ask us. We're here. I mean, you know what I do. They know what I do. In 2024, there was 1,200 plus permits issued for residential building. Only 10% was done by local guys. So of that local, you know, this is a smaller local builder. This is a smaller project. So, but anytime you guys need help, ask us. You know, reach out to us.
Thank you.
We were just asking if anybody else wanted to speak on behalf of the application. I don't think anyone stood up. So at this time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition, may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please come to the lectern, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commission. Appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak. So I guess by default, I am representing multiple family members as well as surrounding other citizens and property owners that are adjacent and surrounding this particular area where this development is being proposed and where the application has been submitted for. And one thing I want to say is, look, we recognize that there's an importance of growth, you know, but we also want to make sure that we're responsible with the developments that are going on, certainly in the county. And this particular application really presents quite a few serious concerns on our behalf because of the impacts it could potentially have on neighboring properties as well as has already been mentioned to the roads, to the streets, and to the school system. So, and I just want to state, even though several of these items have already been mentioned or addressed, I still would like to address these concerns if I may. So, you know, one of the key components is, and really, I admit I don't have line of sight into what the average square footage of the homes that are intentionally being built on this development. But the concern there is that typically with a smaller square footage home, I would say that mostly attracts predominantly transient type families, right? Coming in, moving out, you know, more temporary. So one of the concerns that we have from that particular area is just the ongoing, really, destabilization of the community, in our opinion. And what that results in and what that potentially looks like is the devaluation of existing properties that are surrounding this particular area, as well as within the, you know, in the area where typically, and as you see, is currently surrounded by other agricultural property, some larger homes, family tracts of property. So with that, we also are concerned that, you know, not knowing, assuming that there's an absence right now of any kind of binding covenants or ordinances that might prevent either the current or the future properties being converted into rental properties. So that's an ongoing concern that we have. But also we have the concern from really the threats in to the integrity and the potential compromise of the surrounding lakes. And as you see, you know, on the graphic that's on the screen there, you really have three other bodies of water, two that are neighboring and adjacent to the property, along with the lake that is currently on the property itself. The property that our family is that area of 131A1 directly to the east of the property. It's a 17-acre lake. If you see that small portion of R2 located just west of that, that's my personal home. And in constructing our home on that family property, one of the things we wanted to do is make sure that we maintain the integrity, and we didn't want to compromise the lake. It's a very nice area. The water is very clear. A lot of recreational fishing and things like that go on there. So in that effort, we met the minimum. We built 200 feet, away from the edge of the water. Well, if you look at the property line that is on the east side adjoining the property, the edge of the water, the lake there, as you look toward the northeast corner of this property, that water edge is 30 feet to 50 feet on average along that property line. So there's great concerns there, certainly from a setback perspective, of how close some of these lots, and how close some of these homes will be built. So certainly we're concerned about the impacts to those lakes, to the other existing water systems, from a stormwater runoff, erosion, sediment control perspective. The other concern that brings is also really just from a liability perspective. You have these homes, you have children at play, and with all due respect, I'm not so sure that a chain link fence would necessarily provide the protection needed. But one of the things that we would be very concerned about that is access to the lake through trespassing, coming across the fence, or any type of barrier over to the property, whether it's fishing, swimming, other recreational activity. That is certainly an area of concern that we have, along with really increased insurance costs, because ultimately the family needs to make sure that they're well protected from any liability perspective, whether it be through a balloon policy or whatever it might be, in order to mitigate that risk. And then it's been mentioned already about the entrance and the concern there. And because of where this entrance is proposed, right at the crest of that hill, along with the new development that is directly across the street, which also has a new entranceway that has been constructed, not necessarily reflected here on this particular map. But that's another area of concern. So the things that's already been discussed from a DOT perspective is really want to ensure that proper turning lanes, XL, decel lanes, whatever might need to be required to try to mitigate that, really the hazardous egress and ingress, into not only this development, but also the development that's located directly across the street. And then we've also already mentioned about the concern, and I appreciate the detail around impacts to the neighboring school systems, because that is certainly, because as many of you are well aware, there's quite a few very large acres of property that's already been developed right at the intersection of Nebo and Dallas Nebo. There are a lot of homes that are coming into that area, and hearing that we're already near capacity on the elementary school, already over capacity at the high school, really just continues to raise concern in that particular, to that particular impact. So ultimately what I guess we're asking for is for all these things to certainly be considered by the commission, taken into account. And as you've seen in the letter, that if this commission decides to move forward with the application, we do have some things that we're asking for. We're just asking for some things to help protect or to help mitigate all these risks that have been mentioned. Those things through a comprehensive study from a traffic perspective, because not only just the number of cars that'll be on Pine Shadows, as we've already talked about, but also getting out, turning left, especially from Pine Shadows onto Nebo, especially during peak operating school hours, is already a challenge due to traffic constraint that is in that particular area. So I think pretty much, you've read the letter, you already have seen the concerns there. Listen, I'm a 56-year-old lifetime resident of Paulding County, and look, we've seen a lot of change and a lot of growth happen over the years. I'd like to think that I'm a faithful taxpayer as well as an involved citizen of this county and have been all my life. But given these concerns, really, we request that this application should be denied, or at least, at a minimum, that further consideration of approval, whether it goes on to the Board of Commissioners, that it be tabled to a later time, at least giving ample opportunity for all these studies and needs to be addressed. So really just want to thank you for your time, your consideration, and, ultimately, I'm looking for the elected officials as well as other representatives of this county to, protect the needs of its citizens, look out and help protect the values of our property that we have spent a lifetime, here really building and being a part of, but as well as the socio impact that it has on our neighboring communities. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
don't believe the speaker introduced himself.
Oh.
My apologies. My name is Brad Benson. I actually reside at 1390 Pine Shadows Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have 7 minutes remaining, so the next speaker, if you would, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Ricky Bailey. This is my wife, Deborah Bailey. We own the property on the southeast portion of the subdivision, the proposed subdivision. We've been there for 33 years, seen a lot of floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and we can't figure out what they're going to do with where our property adjoins to that corner. And also, too, you're talking about a settlement pond. Our property, we have 600 feet on Lick Log Creek from where the subdivision where it drains into Lick Log Creek, all the way past Nebo Road. So we've tried to stay up late. We've tried to figure it out, but we can't figure it out. We understand that the subdivision is going to be over there, kind of to our north, but we still can't figure out what they're going to do with the property that adjoins our property. Does that make...
The unused portion of
the unused, yeah, there's nothing on the map, the plat map, that would suggest what the usage is going to be.
I can bring the applicant back around once you're
Okay.
concluded, and
Yeah.
if he wants to address that, or if we have questions, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns with regard to this application? We have about 5 minutes remaining. Hearing none. Mr. Jones, if you'd like to come back around, you may use some of your time that you had left to address any of the concerns that were listed or offer rebuttal.
Yes, sir. Mr. Benson brings up valid points. I've known Mr. Benson almost my whole life, too. And we're cognizant of who lives there and their lake. And furthermore, that's one of the other reasons why they chose to do 1 acre, 21 lots instead of smaller lots with a less inviting product, to be quite honest with you. If staff deems it necessary for us to do a traffic study, then we will do a traffic study. The majority, in my opinion, of the school's discomfort is coming from the large tract builder, mass graded communities at Nebo Road. I get it. Every lot generates students. 21 lots generate a lot less students than 150 or 200 mass graded lots that are bringing in transient people to the area. These are going to be 450 starting point houses into the 600s. I wouldn't personally say that there's a chance of these being transient folks. I would venture to say that these are second, third, and maybe even end of the road lifetime. I'm going to buy my house to live here forever type people, not somebody who would buy their first home. If they can afford a $475,000 home as their first home, God bless them, and we will welcome them. Not probably typical. For Mr. and Mrs. Bailey, the intent for the property that they're asking about, it's not part of the actual development. It'll remain just like it is. It's on the other side of the creek in the swamp, between their property and this development. There is a state waters that comes through there, and at a minimum, it's a 150-foot buffer system from one side to the other, but I think it'll be much further than that. I know that they're probably looking at a pasture in that area. That pasture will remain. That'll be the same property. We don't intend to disturb it. We can't get to it. It is part of that swamp that's being left over, per se. The detention pond will be designed in a way that it will not directly discharge into Benson Lake or the lake at the front. Have no intent to do that. That just sets everyone up for liabilities and lawsuits, and we're not interested in getting involved in that world either. We are amenable to a fence. If the Bensons would like for us to meet on site to discuss what kind of fence or anything of that nature, plantings or whatever, we're amenable to that. We, however, though, would rightfully request that you make your recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, and that'll give us ample time between now and the Board of Commissioners meeting to meet with the Benson family and discuss their concerns. If at that point they're still not amenable, then we'll all make a decision whether to request it be tabled or to bring it through the commission. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any additional questions. I feel like I tried to accommodate and answer the questions from the two parties. In the event I missed anything, I'll be happy to answer any additional information.
You've addressed the cost per home in the range that you're talking about. Can you give me an idea as far as the square foot area that you're talking about?
Yeah, so the average square foot of these homes will be around 2,600. The smallest home that'll be offered will be over 1,800. The largest home that'll be offered will be around 3,400. So there'll be a large variation of large homes. Like I said, they're going to start in the high 4s and go into the 6s. So in my opinion, in this area, I think it'll be one of the higher cost developments that I am aware of in all of this area from a home price standpoint.
One of the other questions in the presentation that was given was concern about any of these homes being established as rental. Maybe the cost per unit is going to be prohibited.
Cost per unit would be difficult. We do not mind a stipulation added that we would adhere to the Paulding County regulations rental policy of no more than 10%. We'd be fine with whatever. There is no intent to rent these homes, to build these homes for rent or anything of that nature. So if it would make anyone and everyone feel better, we don't have a problem with a voluntary stipulation that says such.
The homes that would be lining up to with the back of the home toward the lake,
yes, sir.
The larger lake on the A1 property to the east. How far back are you planning on setting? I mean,
So
I see on the plat where you've got it outlined as the buildable area of the lot.
Yes.
But how far back are you willing to stipulate that the houses will not go?
I got you. So those lots are 192 feet from our proposed right-of-way. Off of that lake, there's already a 25, a 50, and a 75-foot buffer that the state regulates. If the home is 195 feet, 35 feet of it is the road, the setback, which I believe that's the setback. Is that right, Chris? 35 foot?
It's actually 40 feet from the front.
So 40 off of 192 or 195 would be 155 feet. Let's say they build a 60-foot house. That's 90 feet to the property line, and then from the property line to the lake, I'm not sure what the distance is, but there's a required buffer that we can't encroach in. That comes off of his lake, 25-foot state, 25-foot county, and then an impervious setback. So to answer your question, most likely from the edge of the water to any home in here will be greater than 100 feet.
Okay.
I have a question for Mr. Jones. Philip Beaver showed me a video this weekend of a coring section done on Pine Shettis Road there at Lake Jane. Is there any, do you know of any kind of, what's being studied looking at the stability of that dam?
I wasn't sure if you're talking to that Mr. Jones or me.
That, Mr. Jones.
The county has an active project right now, looking at Pine Shadows Dam, essentially to convey water from one side of the dam to the other, across the dam, underneath the dam, looking at the soils, yes, so it's a comprehensive project we have right now.
Do you have any kind of time frame of when something would be started? Because I've seen where the guardrail is washed loose from the road there in one spot, and we actually, the fire department used to draft out of that lake because we didn't have water in that area. And it was at the edge of the lake then, so I know that it is scoured a lot in a lot of places.
Yes. Again, it's a high priority project. We've asked the consultant to provide plans, essentially a first phase to be able to improve the pipe that goes underneath the dam to be able to convey that water. So again, we're hoping to get construction sometime, probably it'd be early next year. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
We met on site there about 3 weeks ago.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Steele?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the other Mr. Jones. So you said your client's amenable to a 10% no rental stip. You also indicated that 18 something is the minimum square footage. Would he be okay going to an 1,800 square foot minimum instead
Absolutely,
of
yes,
1,600? And then on the fence, stipulation for the fence to be required from lots 1 to 6.
Fine with us.
And then you guys will meet with the landowner to
The
determine
Benson
the type of
family to
fence.
find out what they would prefer, because we don't want to be a awkward or a bad neighbor.
Okay.
That's not the intent at all.
And then your engineering design will look at the entrance and the safety of the entrance with PDOT during plan review.
100%.
And the rear setback question also comes into play, and you know this, that with your soils, your placement of your house is based on your soils on the lot where you need to set it.
That is correct.
But 1 through 6, you will hold entirely to the front setback if possible.
100%.
Okay.
The reason I mentioned the 6-foot chain link, I know a lot of folks put the wooden fence, and over a period of time, just like the one, my neighbor, he didn't maintain it.
They look great initially, and they do provide a whole lot better screening, but yes, and that's why I would like to talk to the Bensons, because they may not want that. We want to really put it, if we're going to spend the money, we want to put in a product that's going to help them feel better about the development and such as that. So, I agree, the chain link might prohibit it and it would last longer. They may like the aesthetics of the sided board, so we could work with them to accomplish what they're after.
Any other questions to the applicant? Thank you. So at this time, we will entertain a motion with regard to application 2025-14-Z. There are 2 listed stipulations that were given by staff. And then, of course, we've had conversation listing potential for stipulation of no rentals beyond 10%, stipulation on 1,800 square foot minimum for the homes, stipulation for a 6-foot-high fence along lots 1 through 6, details to be worked out with on-site visit to property owners. And you had the last one, James, I believe.
That was the fence, the rental, and the square footage. The other one is going to be site-specific, but, it's kind of hard to stipulate to hold it to the front setback. That's their intent, because you got to think about it, too. The builder doesn't want to spend any more money on driveway and cost to push the house back if they don't have to, and clearing. And I think from when I looked at this one, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Jones, is 1 through, especially like 3 through 6, isn't that pretty, it's pretty pasture, this whole area.
It
so
is.
There's not a lot of clearing.
No, it's not a lot of clearing, and the soils for 1 through 6 should definitely allow us to be up on the front building setback.
And you'll have to do, this will be a primary and a secondary permittee, correct?
Yes.
So
they'll be
you'll
one and the
have
same.
individual erosion control plans for each lot?
Whatever Bruce Cole deems necessary.
Okay.
Because the developer and the builder are one and the same. yes.
Okay, so yeah,
It's an end user.
looking out for any erosion control, or any erosion leaving site, to existing lakes, off-site for a neighbor or on-site as well.
That is our biggest concern for
Okay.
this, is the adjacent state waters. We intend to go over and beyond the calling necessary on this one, for sure.
So at this time, I will entertain a motion on this application. If you will craft your motion in such a way.
I'll take a stab at it. So I'll make a motion to approve with the 2 listed stipulations, adding 3 additional stipulations. Third stipulation is that the minimum square footage of all homes be at least 1,800 square foot heated. Number 4 stipulation will be no more than 10% of all homes could be in a rental program. And number 5, that a fence be required between the property lines of lots 1 through 6 and the neighboring property of Mr. Benson, with the fence to be determined between the developer and the neighboring landowner.
Mr. Steele, does your motion to approve also include the variance requests?
It does include the variance request.
Thank you.
For the lots reducing in the cul-de-sac.
So we have a motion to approve by Mr. Steele with 5 stipulations and approving the variance. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Callahan. All in favor? All opposed? So we have 3 for, 3 against, and I will cast the tie-breaking vote to be for approval. And again, it'll be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners meeting on September 9th at 2 p.m. It's enough time for the developer and the property owners to meet and hopefully come to terms on certain issues, and also further investigation by the Board of Commissioners if needed.
Can I add one statement?
Yes.
Ms. Jones, can you have your client reach out to Mr. Benson and the Baileys, exchange numbers, and become... Okay, thank you.
Mr. Robinson?
Next application, 2025-15Z. This is the City of Hiram. It's an application by Michael Whitman requesting to rezone 0.819 acres within the City of Hiram from B1 General Business District to B2 Highway Business District to allow for the installation of a billboard with additional variance requests to reduce the setback from residential zone property from 300 feet to 50 feet, and to reduce the front setback from public right-of-way from 10 feet to 1 foot. This property is located in land lot 476, District 2, Section 3. It's on the north side of Jimmy Lee Smith Parkway, which is also US 278, and it's just east of Hiram Drive. It's in Commission Post 3 also. Staff has recommended approval, but there are some concerns with the variances reduction, especially the front setback. This would be subject to the Georgia Department of Transportation approval with their outdoor advertising section, and also this would be subject to the City Council Hiram approval. Applicant is present.
If the applicant please come around, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
My name is Michael Whitman. I own the Westside Pavilion Shopping Center. And I'd like to put a billboard at the corner of the lot. It's the furthest corner in the parking lot over the parking spaces. It's a smaller structure. It's 35 feet tall, which would be smaller than the approved buildings that was already pre-approved in 2007 for that lot. It will not be visible from the advertising will not be visible from any residential property. And it is a highway business district already. So I would like to reduce that 300-foot to 50-foot, which is allowable by the DOT. And whatever the DOT setback is, which I believe is 0 on the overhang for the Paulding County has 10 feet. I'd like to reduce it to 1 foot. So it's going to be a non-digital, so it won't have any higher light intensity than like a digital board would have. So it would just be a standard vinyl advertisement.
And then you're familiar with the zoning requirements specific to Hiram. You'll need to make sure that you're in compliance with their sign permitting.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions to the applicant?
Yeah, I have a question. So what's the hardship with the 300-foot asking to go to 50? That's a pretty significant difference. And then to go from our 10 to 1. Those are both pretty significant numbers.
Well, the right-of-way is almost 85 feet right there.
Okay.
And I wanted to keep it, the foundation's not going to be at that point, just the vertical overhang. I wanted to put it where I wouldn't interfere with any existing trees.
Okay.
So, I didn't want to put it over the roadway, and I was trying to keep it toward the corner of the lot, which has DOT property both to the west and the south, and it does have the lot to the north, and I was trying to keep it in a compact space instead of sticking it in the center of a parking lot where it's an eyesore. And, I was trying to keep the center nice. I've got a plastic surgeon there that's moving in. They're doing a build-out right now. We just did a salon on Main. They moved in. So I'm trying to keep the center nice. I'm trying to keep it appealing from the road. I don't want it to look overwhelmed. So I was trying to put it in the corner of the property on the west side where it was tucked away, so it's not an eyesore for the neighbor, not an eyesore for anybody, and it's just visible from the highway. There's only a 35-foot height versus a lot of the other ones around that are original are 100 feet tall almost. Some of the ones just toward Hiram.
Okay, thank you.
What's the exact location on the property you're gonna put it? Do you have a?
It's at the west-south corner over the existing parking spaces. So if you see it's on the plan that was submitted. You have it. If you look on the photo, it's on the.
Well, she's showing it on the screen now.
Okay.
This right here.
So it's the far southwest portion of that, which it's that structure that's on the photo, on the survey right there.
And that's residential.
Yeah, you can see it looks like a little ladder.
So it's a relatively small structure. It's going to fit over the top of the island and the parking spaces. I was trying not to make it too large so it wouldn't be an eyesore.
And it's specifically missing the paved parking spaces. I mean, it's set outside of the paved area, right?
It's not going to be bored into it's going to be over them, but it's not going to be.
Yeah,
So
the post itself will be outside of that.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a already developed area, and it is the highway business district, and
Okay.
Question for Mr. Robinson. So the rezoning from B1 to B2 is because the billboards aren't allowed in B1, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so back to the applicant, would you continue if the variance is not granted, are you still wanting to go to B2? And would you keep it?
I have the ability to, it was pre-planned to put another building there, but I have no interest in putting an auto body shop there or anything else, so there's no other reason for it. The space, the Wellstar building to the side is Zone B2, all the buildings across the street are Zone B2, so I have no other use for it. I've been keeping it as extra parking for the retail center because that's the #1 complaint at the Wellstar Hospital is there's no parking. So I've been trying to keep it where there's more parking at the center.
Okay. Yeah, the way I understood it, one was driving the other. That's the reason I asked.
Well, and I would think too, the fall zone requirement around a billboard, you know, it's the height of the billboard plus an additional percentage is usually, that might be prohibitive to any further development on that property toward that western edge.
Yeah.
But if you're not planning on doing that, that does not.
There's nothing within 35 feet that I'd be able to build on.
Any other questions to the
And
applicant?
Mr. Robinson, or yourself, Mr. Palmer, you said it goes to the city of Hiram and has to meet their sign ordinance. Does it meet their sign ordinance at the 50 and the 1?
It would meet their sign ordinance as it relates to other objects on the property and the height. The
Okay.
35 feet that he's speaking of is the limitation according to the city of Hiram's ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
And also, on the front setback, that is not from the base or pole, it's from any part of the sign.
Correct.
So that,
It can't cantilever over the right-of-way
Right.
or over the property. So that, the front face edge, any part of it is asking for it to be 1 foot from that property line.
that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Rochelle Flemister,
Lavoy Pete.
and we represent the heirs of Cleveland Whitaker. We respectfully register our dissatisfaction with the proposed rezoning and installation of a billboard sign on the property located in Land Lot 476, District 2, Section 3, east of Hiram Drive and north of Jimmy Lee Smith Parkway. We strongly object to the current proposed placement for the following reasons. Negative impact on adjacent properties. The proximity of the billboard to our property would diminish the visual character and residential quality of the surrounding area. Large commercial signage of this scale is inconsistent with the community's existing landscape. Traffic and safety concerns. Billboards located near the intersection of Hiram Drive and Jimmy Lee Smith Parkway pose potential distractions to drivers in an already congested area, creating additional hazards. Property value considerations. The presence of a large billboard would likely reduce the aesthetic appeal of nearby parcels, adversely affecting market values and neighborhood desirability. Community character. The introduction of this type of sign distracts from the intended planning vision for this corridor, which should prioritize balanced commercial use and livability for nearby residents. The residents in the community would, well, he had said it wouldn't be a lighted billboard, but that's a major concern of a lighted billboard if it's of such, because this would create a nuisance that would deprive us of our quiet and peaceful enjoyment of our home place. This property has been in our family for over 80 years, and we ask that you not bring a nuisance to the site of our family home. Alternate placement proposal. If the commission elects to approve this application despite community objections, we respectfully request that the billboard be relocated further from residential and pedestrian accessible areas. Specifically, we suggest that this sign along coordinates nearer to the southern portion of Jimmy Lee Smith Parkway near existing retail zones or along industrial parcels that are further east of Hiram Drive, where the sign would be more in keeping with surrounding land use. This adjustment would preserve the character of our property and better align with the county's long-term planning goals. For these reasons, we urge the Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners to deny the current rezoning request, or at a minimum, condition any approval upon the relocation of the sign to a more appropriate site. We appreciate your consideration of our concerns and respectfully request that they be entered into the public record for the upcoming hearings. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Where on this parcel map are you located well, if you're looking here in relation to that parking lot, where are you?
Can you figure it out?
I think you can see it on a different map easier. And then there a map that shows the residential.
They're right behind the parking lot.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Whitman, you can come back up. You've already acknowledged that you were not putting a lighted sign. That is not what your intent was, as far as a digital billboard or
I was
anything.
not putting a digital billboard up there. It was just going to be a standard, and a smaller board that, you know, I'd try to make it as least visible from their property as possible.
Okay.
But it will be a regular lighted sign, it's just not digital.
Just not digital.
You'll have lights on the sign. That makes sense.
Standard lighting.
Obviously, this will be, whatever may happen here with the Planning Commission, it will be forwarded to the City Council for Hiram for final determination. If you want to address anything to address the concerns that were mentioned, you're welcome to do that at this time.
As far as moving it to the east along 278, it would start to get into the fall zone of all the buildings. It would also conflict with the setback from the other billboard that's on the same side of the road. There was also one just permitted there at the corner at the traffic light of Atlanta Highway and 278, I believe, a digital. So you couldn't put a digital, but you also couldn't put another board within 750 feet of that board that was just permitted there.
Okay. Which is why you settled on the location you're discussing now.
Yes.
So it's a spacing issue?
It's a spacing.
Spacing and fall zone.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions to the applicant before we move forward? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion with regard to application 2025-15-Z for the city of Hiram.
I'd like a motion to deny.
I have a motion to deny by Mr. Aston.
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Fitzgerald. All in favor of the denial? Motion passes 6-0 and 1.
Mr. Chairman, we take a 5-minute intermission.
Do I have a motion to take a 5-minute intermission?
I'll make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
I have a motion from Mr. Steele, a second from Mr. Leggett. All in favor? 6-0 and 1. Thank you.
doing? What's that? Mr. Lorraine.
Can get away with it, because I got it on camera.
Well, you know, those big cables, there's a lot of people in there. And this cable looks like they were just like that.
Chuck Rand with WK Dixon, which has had a name change. It's Ardura now, but for this application, it's WK Dixon and Ardura Company. Representing Omega Development Corporation, Mr. Brock is in the audience with us this afternoon as well. And as Mr. Robinson had mentioned, it's a 4.9 acre tract that sits between Masonic Drive, Pleasant Grove, and Highway 101-113. And the request is for mini warehouse and outside storage on this proposed property with 2 access points, one off Masonic Drive, one off Pleasant Grove. Again, with the variances requested, understand that the staff has recommended denial, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. As far as when you look at the comp plan in these character areas that are in various locations in the county, there is one other identifier for some of these areas, and what they're called are unsewered crossroads. And this particular site sits halfway between what we call Rosa Store area and Yorkville. It is a crossroad community for Beulah, and we feel like that this is a development that could occur in this area. We have looked at the stipulations that staff has provided. If this does move forward, we do have one comment or 2 comments on those stipulations. I believe it's stipulation 1 that's listed in the backup about the 20-foot buffer. It's a little bit left to the imagination about what that would be, but we definitely don't want to put 2 rows of evergreen trees spaced at 10 foot offset from one another around the entire perimeter. We'd rather replace that stipulation with a 10-foot landscape strip along all frontages, and that plan to be prepared by a registered landscape architect, not prepared by me. You don't want your engineer doing your landscape plan. Again, that would be submitted as part of the plan review process and approved by staff. It's a little bit difficult with the site, especially with the trees, just given the high line that's on that south side on Masonic Drive. It's not really an impediment to access the property. It's just that we want to be good neighbors with Georgia Transmission as well. They just need to be able to have access to that line and trees would be a hindrance. So that's on stipulation 1. I've talked to staff. We've added a stipulation 10. Not certain we definitely need it, but it covers steps 6 through 9, which are with regard to donation of right-of-way. The applicant does not have any issue with the donation of right-of-way and working with DOT on those improvements that are listed. We just want the setbacks to stay where they are today. From what I understand from staff, those setbacks will stay per the submitted plan. And if you also choose not to add number 10, we definitely understand that. It appears that that may not necessarily be needed. As far as the other stipulations that are listed, we're in agreement with those, and I'll reserve the rest of my time to any comments or questions that I can take from the board.
Well, as we're discussing both applications, the stipulation listed under the SUP, if it were to receive favorable treatment, you're agreeable to those as well?
We are. That is currently where the other facility that Omega operates off of Baker's Bridge, it's similar hours.
Okay. I'll open it up to questions from the Planning Commission.
That other facility, the one on Baker's Bridge, that's the same, that's what they're looking to build here?
Yes, and that's what we submitted in for architectural renderings, just so everybody could get an understanding of. We had to meet the corridor overlay over in that vicinity, and we'll do the same here.
Is it smaller or larger than that facility?
This would be smaller than that facility.
Okay, I've seen that one, so.
Yeah.
Other questions by the Planning Commission?
For that facility that you've got off of Baker's Bridge, have y'all done any trip generations to get, now that it's in operation, you've seen it up there for a little while, have y'all done any trip generations to kind of find out how many trips you have per day?
If that's been done since the original application or original permitting, I don't know of any that's been done. We did a trip generation study for that facility when we were going through plan review, and that dealt mainly with a reduction on the left turn lane in, just because we didn't have that many trips coming in and out. We did a traffic study for this site and had submitted it to Paulding County as part of the application, and have had correspondence back with staff on those numbers.
Any other questions to the applicant?
Not to the applicant, but to the DOT director. Do we have any projects for, in the future, and plans for Pleasant Grove or Masonic as they intersect 101?
There are no, I would say, program projects at this time. Obviously, when, I think that was part of the right-of-way donation request here, was to look at something, and that was why that was put in.
That was my next question. So it was the right-of-way for the Pleasant Grove possibly to tee up or square up the intersection of Pleasant Grove and 101 in the future?
Yeah, part of it was part of it was the fact that I think Pleasant Grove is a collector, and then also the portion of right-of-way requested right at 101 was to possibly be able to provide a close to a 90-degree intersection at some point in time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions to the applicant?
So this facility, is it open 7 days a week?
I believe so.
And the hours, 6 to 10?
That's correct.
Any other questions?
Is this in a residential area?
I'm sorry?
Is this in a residential area?
So the properties to the west and to the east of the triangle, those are large lot residential. Usually looks, from what we could see, acre and bigger. What you have to the south, you do have the convenience store to the south and a couple of other non-residential uses. There's a church and I believe a lodge there as well on the south side off of Masonic.
Any other questions? Hearing none, you may take your seat. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? If you would please sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Willingham, and I currently reside at 174 Pleasant Grove Road. It is right at the four-way stop. We're directly in front of that stop sign. Some of my questions are, if any of you have ever been in the area, what are the plans for the intersection at Pleasant Grove and 101? As of right now, there's a little bit of a blind hill, so I'd assume with the development, it's going to cause more blind spots or impede the vision for traffic. Also, I'd like to know if there would be any plans to potentially like put in a turn lane, or where on Pleasant Grove they're looking to do a turn lane, because that could directly impact my driveway.
You mean a turn lane for this development?
Yes, if they're looking to do something like that.
I can ask those questions for you.
Okay.
Is that the extent of your comments?
That is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Guess we'll turn this back to Director Jones. Can you speak to any plans that may be for the Pleasant Grove 101 leg?
Yeah, as discussed previously, we did request a MITRE here for a potential future project. There's nothing programmed at this time. We have not reached out to Georgia Department of Transportation to see if they have a project program for that intersection. We can, I just have not reached out to them.
And would there be a requirement for a turn lane due to a development like this?
The county has a right and left turn lane policy that's administered with the development regulations. Obviously, it looks at the amount of traffic that a development is generating, and right and left turn lanes are required based on those thresholds, whether they're satisfied or not. So that'll be investigated through the plan review process.
That would have to be determined in plan review. Thank you. That's what okay. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, concerns?
Hey, just one quick question on, if that's Max Willingham's old house, that access is not in front of the driveway? If that was your dad?
Thank y'all for letting me speak. Forgive me for the way I sound. My name's Brent Dockery. I'm a landowner on Woodrow K, as well as my parents and sister and many friends. The question was kind of avoided a minute ago. This is a highly residential area, and most of us know that. We have the store and we have a small commercial shop, but as far as the surrounding area, it is landowners. We've got some new neighborhoods. We all know this is a residential area. But my family's got deep roots in this county. Many generations have came and gone. The county's changed a lot. Most of us don't like driving around anymore for the traffic we have to sit in. Concrete, buildings, asphalt. And there's a few communities left around this county where you can take your family and enjoy quiet and peace. Don't have to be scared to walk down the street. You know, most of us don't let our wives and daughters go to the grocery store past 5 o'clock these days. And I'm not against progress. I know this is a room for progress. I'm not against it. I'm not against anybody putting $1 in their pocket. I hope I still get my biscuit tomorrow. But there's communities around this county that still have that peace and quiet and that tranquility that comes with our woods and our fields, and I guess this is just, you can't gripe if you don't vote. So thank y'all for listening.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak in opposition, may have questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, I will turn back to the applicant. If there's anything you would like to address from the comments made, please direct them to me.
Mr. Willingham, Mr. Dockery, I appreciate your comments. I mean, this is what public service is. This is what public meetings are made for. So you're right. If y'all don't come up here and voice your opinion, no one hears it. So I do appreciate y'all making the comments that you did. The discussion for the intersection, I think Mr. Jones provided a little bit of information. There's no direct project improvement. As far as the turn lane, right now I don't believe we have the traffic volume that would justify a turn lane on Pleasant Grove. There was actual discussion between us and Paulding DOT about maybe not having that access point off Pleasant Grove. So again, that was right in, right out. We've had full access off Masonic. Again, that'll be something that gets worked out inside plan review. Other than that, I don't know, outside of the just the site. I mean, I know everybody wants it to be quiet out there, and that's not a bad thing. I think that this site would give a little bit of quiet. It's not going to be a lot of noise generated out of the proposed use, but again, do want to make that point. Anything else y'all may have, I'll be more than glad to answer.
Any other questions to the applicant from the Planning Commission? I will ask just a point of curiosity of the locations that you can come across this location and understanding the nature of the surrounding properties. What was the draw for this particular use at this location? Mr. Brock did have a market study done for this area, and it did support it. We wouldn't be in here with the proposed use. Right.
So that's really what's driving the request today.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions to the applicant? You may take your seat. Thank you. So at this time, we have two applications before us, the 2025-16Z and the 2025-05-SUP. I will entertain a motion on the first.
I make a motion to follow staff recommendations and deny this application.
I have a motion from Mr. Leggett for denial of the application. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Callahan. All in favor of the denial? Motion opposed? Motion passes 5-0 and 1. And yes, 5-1 and 1. You're right. Thank you. And subsequent to that, we have an SUP which is reliant on the first. Still need to go through the motion. Mr. Attorney?
I would go ahead and vote on the second as well, because these are going to be recommendations.
So we have a application for the SUP.
Make it same motion.
Same motion from Mr. Leggett to deny.
Second.
Second from Mr. Callahan. All in favor of the denial? Motion opposed? Motion passes 5-1 and 1 for denial. Again, it'll be forwarded to Board of Commissioners. You'll need to talk with staff to determine what you're wanting to do as far as taking it before the Board of Commissioners or not. Mr. Robinson?
Okay. The next two applications also will go together. It's 2518Z application by Brad Austin requesting to rezone one tract of .88 acres from R2 Suburban Residential District to B1 General Business District, with also a special use permit for an existing and future expansion of a gasoline station with convenience store. Property is located in land lot 806, District 2, Section 3. It's located on the south side of Hiram Sooty Road, which is also State Route 120 connector. and just east of Villarica Highway, State Route 61. It's in Commission Post 3. Staff has recommended approval with 3 stipulations. The next application, 2025-06, is a SUP. This special use permit, this would include 3 tracks: the existing store, the already zoned property to the south, and the property that's up for a rezoning today, the .88 acre tract. So it would be a special use on those 3 properties totaling 1.99 acres. And this would be for the existing and future expansion of a gasoline station with convenience store. Again, the property is located in land lots 806, 851, District 2, Section 3. It's on the southeast corner of the intersection of Hiram City Road, State Route 120 connector, and Villarica Highway, State Route 61. Commission Post 3, staff has recommended approval on this one also.
For the second one I have today, again, my name's Chuck Rand with WK Dixon. I'm the representative for Mr. Austin, who's also present in the audience with us today. This is really a housekeeping item is way I like to see it, and planning for a little bit of future growth. So there's the existing store that's located at the intersection of Hiram City and Highway 61. And then we have the parcel to the south and the parcel to the east. All 3 of these parcels are owned by the applicant. And the first part of the question to you today is to rezone the smaller R2 tract to the east of the store into a B1 zoning. And then the second request this afternoon is to take all 3 parcels and place them under a special use permit for the convenience store, and especially the existing use and the expansion. So that's what's in front of you today. We did a traffic study that looked at 2 entry points at the time we get completed with this. Currently, the residential drive that is up for rezoning has its own driveway, but once we get into planning for the expansion and building out the store, that'll go to 2 access points, just like what the convenience store has now. Those will likely be spaced out further from the intersection to everybody's enjoyment. I believe that'll also make GDOT happy. It'll make Paulding happy. And then when we bring that back in, we'll also bring in the elevations and the building plans so that everybody can see those and approve those elevations prior to approval. Everything on this application with the future expansion is tied to Highway 61 widening. Again, we don't want to get into the middle of a construction project in the middle of a construction project. So likelihood is it will stay as is for the immediate future. And then once the Highway 61 widening is completed, we'll come back in and do those final plans for the expansion of the store. It is going to have a portion of it will be convenience store and another portion will be retail. And again, that will be on the overall tract. It is septic, so it'll stay septic in the after. And again, that'll primarily drive what we can do with the site once we get further down the road. With that, I'll reserve the rest of my time for any questions and rebuttal.
The 3 listed stipulations given by staff, you're agreeable to those?
Yes.
Okay.
And GDOT's widening, I mean, it's taking the pumps. Will it require you to move the pumps? Have you seen anything from what their plans are?
No, the applicant's been working with GDOT on the existing access points. Right now, there's no movement of the pumps or any of that. They are redoing their aprons of what they appear to be planning to do. But for the immediate need, the pumps will stay where they're at.
And the parcels will all stay separated? I mean, 3 separate parcels?
No, once we get through this process, the goal will be to get all 3 parcels combined into one to bring back in front for development plan review.
Okay. And any chance you or PDOT know anything about 61 widening timeframe? Any ideas?
Man, that's about like 92.
Yeah.
I've done some utility relocations for the city of Dallas for Highway 61, and they're pushing us hard to get those plans. I don't know what the construction timetable is, but if they're that hot about getting the utilities relocated, it should be moving along. But I'll defer to Mr. Jones for that answer.
Last update I saw was fiscal year '26, they showed construction. Again, that's dependent on getting right of way.
Okay. All right, thank y'all.
26 actually sounds better than 92's prospects. So,
Yeah, but when 92 started, yourself, myself, Mr. Jones, Mr. Rand, we were all young men here at the county.
I'm still a young man, thank you.
We worked for Mr. Leggett here as a commissioner.
Any questions to the applicant?
Mr. Rand,
Yes, sir.
that's one of the things I wanted to ask is if they would actually be moving the store and everything in the future, is it a planned expansion of the store or a new store?
It's probably going to be a combination of both. There may be some of the new footprint that's on the old, really on phasing, how we phase that out to try to keep them in operation during construction. Of course, that'd be the goal. That may not be a reality. But the pumps that are sitting there today and the store as close as it is to Hiram City, that'll likely be shifted back from both Highway 61 and from Hiram City to accommodate the expansion.
Okay. Any other questions to the applicant? Hearing none, if you'll take your seat, we'll
Thank you.
see if there's anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this application. Hearing none, is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application, may have questions, comments, or concerns? Please sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Mahi Patel, and I live at 229 Jenna Lane, so about 2.5 miles from the intersection we're looking at currently. I'm also speaking on behalf of my dad, who's sitting in the audience. He's also the property owner of the B2 zone, 679 lot, right across of the proposed expansion. I have a couple questions about the expansion, the concurrence with the future expansion of Highway 61. My question is regarding, after the expansion of Highway 61, are they going to expand the store concurrent to that or after the expansion? Because according to the special use permit review standards, there's standards regarding whether or not adequate provisions are made for parking and traffic consideration. As we know, Paulding County High School sits approximately 1.8 miles from this lot in the intersection of Scoggins Road and Villa Highway. And as someone who went to high school and had siblings who went to Paulding County High School, we all know that Paulding County High School is 118% full, as we learned earlier in the session, and there's a lot of traffic that goes by considering the high school. But not only that, this is a pretty popular intersection. Approximately 16,000 cars go through Highway 61 a day. So I know that in the agenda, there was not a comprehensive traffic report about what the expansion would look like and how that would affect traffic patterns. And this is maybe something that DOT can speak on. And I know this is, as the person earlier said, that this is maybe not something that's happening until after 2026. But I guess my question is this going to be concurrent with the expansion or something that's going to happen after, which would still affect
You're asking
traffic?
whether the construction of 61 would be concurrent with the construction
Of the
activity
six-
of the property?
Yes.
Okay, we can ask that.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in opposition to the application or may have questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, the applicant will come back around. You kind of alluded to it a little bit in the discussion that we had, but specifically her question addressed whether expansion of the building, the property itself, the build-out there would take place during the construction of 61. if you want to speak a little bit more on that.
Well, there was a comment that talked about the special use permit. And again, special use permit's only good for 3 years, as I have been reminded. Again, that would be something if we weren't done in that time frame, we'd have to come back and get Board of Commissioner approval for an extension of that. Currently, right now, the mindset is to wait after DOT gets done, but if everybody got their ducks in a row and they could do it concurrently, well, they could do that. But the current plan is not that. Now, the question about the traffic study, there was a traffic study prepared for the project, and that was submitted with the application as part of the consideration.
And of course, if this were to receive favorable treatment and go forward, plan review, all the development regulations that would come in place there, all the studies that you may need to submit, both not only for traffic, but for environmental and anything else, you recognize you would have to submit to those requirements as well.
We would, and the longer they wait, traffic study's only as good as it was when it was done. So, as things change, and again, once we get in, it was important for us to get the traffic study done now so we could see what things are looking like out there. I wouldn't want to do a traffic study in the middle of a construction project. So at least we've got a baseline set so that when we do look at those improvements, when we go back with the state to work through those intersections, as far as access to the site, we all have something that we can work on and update as we move along.
All right. Any other questions to the applicant? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
This time we'll enter.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to clarify a couple of things
Please.
regarding the special use permit and timeframes. The ordinance puts a performance timeframe on approved special use permits that they should obtain a building permit within 3 years. That can be remedied also by the ordinance, which under the section issuance of a special use permit, the Board of Commissioners may grant a special use permit for any period of time at the discretion of the governing authority. Is there anything else, Jason?
No, you have a couple of different issues there. The extension of an SUP, you have the duration of an SUP, which is completely in the discretion of the Board of Commissioners. And then you have potentially reversionary zoning, which at the end of the time, if there's no activity and you hit certain triggers, which is typically after 3 years, but the facts in any particular case are going to turn as to when that reversionary period rolls around. You can also apply for extensions to extend your period of time so that reversion doesn't occur. I would recommend that issues regarding reversion need to be taken up years into the future, not set for today. An SUP is for any given amount of time, but those two issues are going to come in together. I would recommend not making your decision here today based on what may or may not happen 3 years from now.
So Mr. Robinson, is there anything further you wanted to add?
No, we're good.
Okay. So taking that into consideration, this time, I will entertain a motion on application 2025-18Z. Again, there are listed 3 stipulations associated with that application.
I make a motion to approve with the 3 listed stipulations.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Steele with the 3 listed stipulations. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Aston. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0-1. Now on to the consideration for the SUP, 2025-06-SUP.
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Steele and a second from Mr. Leggett. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0-1. Again, this will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for their consideration on September 9th at 2 p.m. The applicant needs to be present for it to be considered. that one, didn't I? Mr. Robinson.
Okay, final item today. This is a proposed text amendment to the Paulding County zoning ordinance. This would be ordinance 2025-06. Those amendments are published in our agenda right there. And our Community Development Director, Ann Lippman, is here to present.
At your pleasure.
Thank you. No, it's been a long afternoon, so I'm going to try to go over this as quickly as possible. The 11th Amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance can be summed up with two things. One is mice, and the other is data centers. I tried to find a picture. My computer malfunctioned earlier today. I had found a little picture of a little mouse playing with a mouse, and I had a picture of a data center. So quickly, I'll talk about the mice, and then we'll talk about the more exciting subject of the data center text amendment. As you all know, when we adopted the Unified Development Ordinance in 2022, we used the North American Industrial Classification System terminology for a lot of our land uses. And as it turns out, animal production and aquaculture includes breeding of mice, rats, and guinea pigs for laboratory and snake-eating purposes. And believe it or not, we've had several people in residential areas who thought this would be a good thing to do. So this is kind of a cleaning up. We are taking laboratory animal production examples of guinea pigs, mice, and rats out of the A1, ER, R1, and R2 zoning districts, and we are making that a special use permit that would be required to get in the agricultural business district. The only other change associated with that is a parking requirement for breeding of laboratory animals. And we did that following other similar type uses. Our other topic today is data centers. I don't know if you read the same kind of articles that Chris and I read, but data centers are in the news, and a lot of our fellow jurisdictions are doing moratoriums on those. We currently allow data centers in the I-1 and AML, Advanced Manufacturing Logistics District, but we wanted to get ahead of the game and do a technology park overlay district. The map that I have up today is from the Highway 92 study that we did a couple of years ago. And this is the main area that we are targeting for this overlay district. And I'll just hit some of the highlights. And we also have Attorney Brandon Bowen, who shared some examples of overlay districts that he did in other jurisdictions, and I think would love to speak to you as well. So we plan to insert a new section 220-40, which is called the Technology Park Overlay District. This district sets boundaries based on 12 specific parcels totaling approximately 995 acres. It lists, it's actually 11 permitted uses. We added one after a symposium that several of us attended a few weeks ago. It sets lot size, area, and setback requirements. It sets a height limit of 75 feet. It establishes a minimum 100-foot undisturbed buffer in addition to the traditional setbacks that you would see. It defines architectural design standards, including security fencing and exterior illumination. It provides guidance for use of private roads. It allows an exception for setbacks and buffers which do not abut properties located outside the boundary of the overlay district. It sets off-street parking requirements for the overlay district. And this is very key. It provides detailed standards for sound to combat potential noise pollution. Requires letters from water and electrical utility providers to be provided prior to approval of a land disturbance permit, and exempts requirements of the corridor overlay district provided the buildings are not visible from the roadway. And that's kind of the highlights, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, as will Mr. Bowen.
Any questions to the director at this time from the Planning Commission? Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will open the floor to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak, please come to the lectern, sign in, state your name, and address your comments to the chair.
I'm Brandon Bowen, 15 South Public Square, Cartersville, Georgia. It's good to be with you again. I'm here on behalf of the mice breeding industry to talk. I'm kidding. Sorry. I had to do it. No, I'm here to speak in favor of your text amendment in regards to data centers. So I know I've been here before, but you all probably don't know. I do a lot of zoning work, particularly in Cartersville, and a couple years ago, I had some folks come meet with me and say, we would like me to help them put a data center in Cartersville, and they showed me a map of where they wanted to put it. And I said, okay, there's two things. One, you have to tell me what a data center is, because I had no idea. And two, you have to convince me this is a good thing, because it is literally, their site was right beside my neighborhood. I can see the site out my bedroom window. Had no idea what it was, and I thought, what are you guys going to do? And so they explained it to me, and they did a good job convincing me that it's a good thing. And so for that reason, I took that case, we pushed it forward. I drafted the ordinance for Cartersville, because at the time, Cartersville did not have any ordinance addressing data centers at all. And so we worked on that, and it got unanimous support from the city council, and it's under construction right now. One of the things in the education, well, let me ask this, why would you want a data center in your community? And let me back up, in case at this point there's still anybody who doesn't know what it is. A data center is a big building that holds a bunch of computer servers. So when you look at your phone and you Google something on the internet, or you share photographs with your family and friends, whatever, all that data is being stored. We store it in the cloud, right? The cloud is not up in the sky. The cloud is in a warehouse somewhere, okay? And so that's what it is. It's a place to store data. Why would you want a data center? One, I mean, I'll just straight out, from a local government standpoint, taxes generated by these things are phenomenal. It's hard to wrap your head around how much taxes they generate, because the buildings are, each building will have a bunch of servers in it. Build out a building may be $1 billion, and it's full of servers, computers, and these computers have to get rotated out every 3 to 5 years. So you're getting real estate taxes on the land and the building, and you're getting personal property taxes on these servers, and they're having to replace those every 3 to 5 years. It's a just...
And they're cheap, aren't they?
Very cheap, very inexpensive, yes. Yeah, so it generates a tremendous tax stream for the county. I also heard you talking about the school system. Your schools are dealing with the same things that the schools in Bartow County are dealing with. Well, this is, obviously your school system is a major beneficiary of a data center in two ways, actually. One, because they will receive millions of dollars in taxes from it. And two, data centers don't have kids to educate. I know in the site we looked at in Cartersville, it was already approved for 2,000 homes. So the school system was already scratching their head about how they're going to deal with that. Well, that zoning took 2,000 homes off the agenda and replaced it with something that did not have any kids to educate. In addition, it doesn't generate much in the way of traffic. That's a huge concern in Cartersville. Traffic, we want to maintain our, semi-rural feel. Data centers don't generate that much traffic. They look like a big warehouse, but whereas with warehouses you expect tractor trailers coming in and out, you don't have that at data centers. They don't have very many employees, mainly some security guards and some techies that work there, and that's it. You don't have trucks going in and out, or anything like that. So they don't generate traffic like most things we do deal with. So those are all good reasons to want a data center. It's a very positive development for our community. Turning to that ordinance, Cartersville had nothing to deal with data centers, so I had to create that from whole cloth, basically. And we were doing, we did meetings, public meetings to educate people before we got to the city council. And, one of the things I heard, if you get on your phone and Google data center concerns, first thing you're going to find is they are noisy because of the data centers in Loudoun County, Virginia, okay? The reason that's an issue up there is because the way they powered data centers, and this is one of the first rounds of data center developments, the way they powered those things was with generators, okay? That's not how this will be powered. That's not how we do it in Georgia, okay? It's going to be powered, data centers are going to be powered by your local power company, right? Transmission lines. They are not going, and it's not the transmission lines that serve homes. It's not distribution lines. It will be a transmission line from the power source. So it doesn't interfere with your local residential power grid, A. And B, there will be generators there for emergency, but they're not powered all the time. They are basically run usually 15 to 30 minutes once a month to make sure they still work. That's it. So, but because of that concern, what you'll see in that ordinance, and it's basically the language that I prepared for Cartersville, was a DBA rating that basically says at your property line of the data center, you can't be more than 65 decibels during the day and 55 decibels at night. I know I don't see anybody with a decibel reader out, but I will tell you, I am 65 decibels right now. So 55 decibels, I'm 55 decibels right now. Okay, it's a whisper. So it's very quiet, very protective of your community. It also has a dark sky ordinance. It actually came as a request from one of our council members in Cartersville. He's really interested in maintaining that dark sky, but you'll see in their requirements that all the lights are downcast, low down. They're not going to light up the sky. I drafted that ordinance to protect my community. It has since been picked up by jurisdictions all over northwest Georgia. Bartow County has it, Adairsville has it, Rome is looking at it right now, Floyd County, a variety of others as well. And because it's designed to allow the data center in a way that protects the community and serves the community. And I've given you my spiel. I appreciate your time. I'm happy to try to answer any questions that I can.
Any questions?
Mr. Bowen, in your experience of research for them, I don't know how many City of Cartersville has, or Bartow County at that. What infrastructure concerns, are there any?
Well, yeah.
Water, power?
Great question. The answer is different every day on that because it's an evolving technology. But here's, a data center needs a bunch of power. That's why Georgia, and particularly Northwest Georgia, is a hotspot nationwide for it because Georgia Power has a lot, and the various, Greystone and whatnot, they are in a good position compared to other power companies around the country. Needs a lot of power. The bigger issue for a lot of jurisdictions is water and sewer, okay? And that is for keeping all those servers cool. As you can imagine, you put all those computers into a building and they generate a lot of heat, but you got to keep them cool so that they work properly. So that is a concern, and it has to be addressed early on in the process. The ordinance, it has in here that but before there can be any approvals, I think it's actually at the LDP stage in this ordinance, there has to be a certification that the water and sewer needs of the project can be met by the county. So if the county can't make it happen, it ain't gonna happen.
And what size, from research or what you've seen, a typical building size?
Building size, 300,000 square feet, 400,000 square feet, they can be very big. Utility usage, I've seen some that use 5 million gallons a day of water. And I've seen some that use less than 50,000 gallons per day. And it depends on what technology they use. And ultimately, the data center is probably going to be owned or operated by one of the big tech companies, Amazon, Meta. They all have different technologies. And some use water to make it happen. Some are closed loop systems where they don't use nearly as much water. They have to use more electricity if they do that, but they use a whole lot less water, which of course means you don't have a sewer issue as well. The ones that we work with are closed loop systems, which are not big water users.
All right, thank you.
I've got a question for you. So surprisingly, I received a considerable amount of complaints from your data center that is in Cartersville. I actually read through, City of Cartersville's zonings and all of that because of it. One of the concerns is some type of, and again, I'm going to play naive because I don't know. You're by far more of an expert. But there was a concern with some type of emitting, some type of ray or some type of noise or some type of thing that is emitting from these data centers that affects the cognitive ability of children to learn. We were actually provided some, and it may have been from that lounge that you were talking about. There was actually several articles that were submitted to us with concerns of what the data centers do and generate and all of that. And of course, this overlay, we've got one of our elementary schools that is inside of that overlay at one of the edges. So is that something that is proven? Is that something that you've heard of? Can you speak to anything like that from these data centers?
I have heard that. I have never heard anyone competent to explain it, show that it's any kind of substantiated thing. All it is, literally, all this is a building with a bunch of computer servers in it. They're not making any processes or anything like that. It's not manufacturing. It's nothing like that. It's the same. In your office, you probably have servers. It's the same thing. There's just a lot of them inside the box. It's inside an insulated box. So I'm not aware of any substantiated reports of that. And I'll say this, we just worked on a project in Floyd County. We partnered with the school system to put a data center on the Floyd County property. They had excess property. We put it on theirs, right by the Floyd County High School.
Any other questions?
Not to Mr. Bowen, but this is probably to Ms. Lippman. This is a district, like an overlay district, like we have other overlay type districts. So it's not a zoning category.
Correct.
Right, and we've identified some parcels that fall in here, but others could be if the board.
Yes, there is a provision. We specifically identified properties, but it also identifies the process to add other properties.
That was my question. That's where I was going.
So it could be amended. It would be just like this. It would be another text amendment.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Most of the complaints that I've looked this up on the internet, and most of the complaints that I've seen are from states that have shut down a lot of their electrical producing capacity over the years, like California and some of the other. They have brownouts and shut down people's powers, different times of the day anyway. It's not due to the data centers that does it, in my opinion. Georgia Power, from what I heard, was at one time contemplating shutting down Plant Yates, and now they're thinking about keeping Plant Yates going because of some of the future demands of data centers and things like that. So I think it's a good thing.
So as this is open for public comment, is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Hearing none, we will close the public comment portion. Are there any other questions to staff before we move forward with the recommendation? Hearing none, at this time, I will entertain a motion with regard to the zoning ordinance text amendments presented by Director Lippman.
Make a motion, we adopt the text amendment.
Of a motion to adopt or approve the text amendment as
Second.
presented.
Second.
That was from Mr. Leggett and a second from Mr. Aston. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0-1. I have a real important question for everybody. Do I have a recommendation or a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Callahan, second by Mr. Steele. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0-1. Thank you very much.